Welcome back to the Carbon Exposure Project, where we dive deep into the ideas, markets, and people shaping the future of climate finance. In this episode, we travel to the iconic Masai Mara in Kenya, a place of extraordinary natural beauty, but also a frontline of the climate crisis. Here, the stakes are real. Ecosystems are shifting, and communities are being forced to adapt fast. We sat down with Duncan Van Der Merwe, chairman and co-founder of Verity, whose organization is doing groundbreaking work at the intersection of ecological science, community empowerment, and carbon finance. Verity is not just planting trees, they're building one of the largest carbon removal portfolios on the planet, with projects across Kenya, Uganda, Australia, and New Zealand. We talk about their ambitious strategy to restore over 1.7 million hectares in Kenya, their use of cutting-edge monitoring tools like blockchain and drones, and their vision for scaling carbon removals through a business model that rewards local farmers, empowers women, and strengthens communities. This episode is a masterclass in how nature-based solutions can be both high integrity and high impact. Welcome to the Carbon Exposure Project.
Duncan, it's a pleasure to see you again. We are seated here in the Masai Mara in Kenya, in one of the most beautiful backdrops that we've certainly had. It's a pleasure to get to sit down with you. I'm really excited for our conversation in particular because I want you to showcase to the world the incredible work that you and your team have been doing. So firstly, thank you, and it's a pleasure to sit down with you.
Yeah, Renee, thank you. And well, what a setting.
Yeah.
But it's a setting that is a bit like the canary in the coal mine.
Yeah.
Where, yes, we've got a great backdrop, but we are seeing the effects of climate change in real time here with both the people in these communities and the animals. So looking forward to telling you more about that.
Yeah, no, thank you. And absolutely correct. And we'll dive into that certainly in the conversation. Duncan, if we can just start by getting a little bit of background about yourself, and then also about Verity and the important work that you're doing. You're a missions-aligned and purpose-driven organization. I'd like for you to expand on that and provide some context to our audience.
No, thank you. So I'm the chairman and the co-founder of Verity. My personal background, I started off as a game ranger, an ecologist and scientist, but then also studied business and have purposely got into developing investment-grade projects and have been fortunate enough to have channeled about $600 million into environmental projects, but with a financial angle. The company Verity, our purpose is really important to us. It drives our entire business.
So expand on that for me.
Yeah, so our purpose is first to empower communities.
Okay.
We use agriculture and nature-based solutions to drive climate change or climate action at scale, emphasis on scale. And the toolbox that we use to achieve that is a vertically stacked technology toolbox, best available science, and some pretty innovative financing that we bring to these projects. So that's our purpose. Our values are really important to us. Our values are captured in the word integrity, especially when it comes to carbon. It's a key issue. The aspects of sustainability, safety, which is really important to us, and innovation, which we've got a pretty amazing team spread across various project locations. So I'll maybe just break those down.
Yeah, if you can, because obviously you're a global organization.
Correct. So
with a presence all over the world. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so we started in Australia. That's where we are headquartered. And we, on a first principles basis, said, where are the best carbon sinks?
Yeah, great.
And we then narrowed it down to the equator, where we then started building a portfolio of green, blue, and teal carbon.
Can you expand on that? Because I think many of our audience members will understand what blue carbon and green carbon is, but maybe not so much the teal nomenclature. So
fantastic. So getting back to our purpose, we want to do projects at scale. So you need really big tools in the toolbox to achieve that. We're in the business of sequestration. We're in the business of removals of carbon dioxide. So the best tools in the toolbox are the trees. they've got some of the best technology in the world. It's
Yep.
called photosynthesis,
And it's proven over millennia.
proven over millennia, and survival of the fittest.
Mm-hmm.
So when we said we want blue, teal and green, we had a risk mitigation strategy in that
Yep.
as well. So for us, blue is blue ecosystem restoration, which is primarily around coastal restoration, so it's marine environments,
Yep.
and it's predominantly mangroves.
Okay.
And it's not just mangroves, they're mangroves, salt marsh, seagrass, and that's blue,
Okay.
linked to the sea, the colour blue.
Yep.
Teal is a term not commonly used in the
Yeah.
industry, but it's freshwater.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so wetlands. Wetlands have got some fantastic sequestration capabilities, be it peatlands or marshes or here in, for example, we next to a river course over here. And then green is terrestrial, and most people are comfortable with or familiar with from grasslands to forests, etc. But in ecological terms, blue carbon could be 800 to 1,000 tons CO2 equivalent sequestration capability per hectare. Teal, some of the peatlands are in the 600, 400 to 600, and some of the green is in the the low 50s, all the way up to 200 tons sequestration capability.
Wow.
So for us, we look at it through, you want to bring big tools into the mix.
Yeah.
So let us, they've all got their role to play, but they've also got co-benefits of blue, teal and green.
Okay.
So the other aspects of our business, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
So the other aspects, when we said we're going to build a portfolio of projects spread across some of the best carbon sinks on the planet, is Australia, across northern Australia, has got some fantastic mangroves. And we started up there.
Yep.
We opened up an institute just south of Darwin. Our institutes are really important to do projects at scale. You need a really good team. Our projects are most in remote areas.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to train up your local workforce. You need centers of excellence where you can do research and development.
Yeah.
You need an operational base just to move people, plant and equipment in and out of your location. So we've got a portfolio of projects in Northern Australia.
Mm-hmm.
We also, sticking to that part of the world,
Yep.
New Zealand, we've got on 2 islands, we've got projects there.
Yep.
And we've just recently registered our first project over there, which we're very pleased with,
Congrats.
and are going through the mechanics of getting first credits on the market this time next year,
Great.
which is fantastic. Again, sticking in the Asia context, we open up an office in Singapore. We like Singapore because it's a center of excellence for carbon financing and carbon trading,
Very much so.
etc. And we like that connectivity on a global aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And then we also open up offices in East Africa, and have got projects in East Africa. So we've got our largest office is in Nairobi, where we are supporting 2 very large projects. One is a blue carbon project along the coast.
Can you give me some context in terms of large? Because you come back to this, the operative word being scale.
Yes.
And I don't want to lose that opportunity, but can you expand in terms of the scale of the projects?
Yeah.
The 2, let's begin with the 2 in Kenya.
So thank you. So I'll start with the blue carbon.
Yep.
We are working through 20,000 hectares of degraded blue carbon ecosystems.
That's a big ecosystem.
Yes, and so a lot of projects, they are small, like islands,
Mm-hmm.
across large stretches of coastline. So what we are doing is we are stapling them together
Right.
across multiple counties, across multiple ecosystems, and you get the economies of scale advantage. So you can fund these projects completely. You can build institutes in the middle of these areas. You can bring government support, international support for these type of projects because they're at scale.
Yeah.
So the other aspect of our projects is you've got to address the root cause.
Yep.
If you're not getting down to an ecosystem restoration, you're going, I'm just going to be planting more mangroves without addressing why the mangroves disappeared in the first place, you're wasting your time and your money.
Yeah.
So in this example, the root cause is a lot of the canals are silting up because the rivers are poor grazing practice, moving removal of forests along the riverbanks, the stream banks,
Mm-hmm.
is creating large amounts of silt.
Yeah.
The silt is going downstream, it's hitting the ocean, turns right because the currents are moving south, and then is dumping huge volumes of silt into the mangroves. So unless you can address the root cause, you just, by planting new trees, you're not going to solve the problem.
And they're not going to survive.
So we address our projects through corridors. And the corridor concept is you've got to address the root cause, which is impacting the ecosystem degradation. Sometimes it's environmental, sometimes it's man-made. We've got to address that. So our other project that we're working on is a AR project. It is a very ambitious project. Under President Ruto, he announced a 15 billion tree planting program. We wrote to the government saying we can help be a part of the solution of that.
Yep.
And we requested an opportunity to plant up to 4 billion trees under the President Ruto's program.
Can I just pause there for 1 second? We're talking billions of trees.
Correct.
You're committing to planting 4 billion trees.
Up to 4 billion.
Up to
yes.
4 billion trees.
Yes.
That's an audacious task. You were speaking earlier around scale. I just want to expand on that. When we're talking scale, this is potentially the largest project for ARR in the world.
Correct.
Yeah.
And
you're not daunted. You're not fazed by this audacious task, which is what I find fascinating about it.
Yeah. Like all problems, you just break them up into single steps and single solutions. So if we look at the headlines, yes, let's talk a management case, 2 billion trees.
Okay.
Because it will take us approximately 12 years to get 2 billion trees into the ground.
Okay. How large an area are we talking about here? Because it seems that it's at a countrywide level.
It is countrywide, but if you break it down, it's about 4.5% of Kenya's surface area.
So how many hectares would that be?
1.765 million hectares.
Wow.
Yeah. And we have a very sophisticated way on how we can achieve that.
So I'd like to unpack on that. Please expand on how you would do that, because the mission and the goal is so large and vast in terms of scale. Implementation and execution is the key component. And I think one of the key differentiators around Verity, and we've been suitably impressed with having met your team and seeing the actual impact on the ground and the actual deployment of the seedlings, etc. I want you to speak about that end-to-end integrity toolbox that you keep referring.
Look, it's a really great question. The first thing that we did is we looked at projects and why they failed. Because there's an entire ecosystem of failed projects out there. So what are we doing different that gives us the confidence that we can achieve this?
Yeah.
So there are so many layers to this, but let's just break it down. First, you need to address the integrity issue of you get somebody to plant a tree. How do you know that the tree survived?
Yep.
And how can you claim a credit and have confidence that you've addressed the permanency issue?
Yep.
So let's just unpack that.
Yeah, let's double click on that.
Yes, because it starts with a single tree.
Yeah.
It's just the number's big, but it all starts with the journey of the first tree that you plant.
Yep.
So what we did is we listened to various people in Kenya struggling with the integrity issue. We've got this amazing technology, vertically stacked technology toolbox.
Yes.
That we've developed in some of our other projects. Working with our local partners here is we said, let us build a tool that can work for your average farmer, your average grandmother who's working the land on land just like this behind us.
Yep.
And we give her a tool that is easy for her to use, using the grandmother as the example, because it's quite often the women who plant the trees and who look after the crops, etc.
Yeah.
So part of the reason why I'm also putting another angle on why projects fail is the World Bank did a really useful study where they said the projects that are successful, they have inevitably got two common features. One, they use the parish development model, which is a model used here locally, that is involving empowering communities. And secondly, empowering women.
Yeah.
Two key words which are aligned to our purpose. So when you get back to a basic tree, we have got we've developed a pretty innovative technology toolbox, which on the surface looks just like an app. So we take a photo when we plant a tree. We get the people who've planted the trees to take photos for the first few years, showing that the tree has either survived or the tree has died.
Yeah. And that mortality is really important. Can I just expand on personal experience?
Yep.
Because yesterday, my teams and I, the Carbon Exposure Project team and the Valaterra team, were fortunate enough to join the Verity team and the local communities here to actually plant trees. I think we planted 120 trees amongst the community members. I think they did most of the heavy lifting, to be quite frank. But what was really impressive was the intuitiveness of the app.
Yeah.
For people that maybe not so familiar with mobile phone technology.
Yep.
Effectively, the way we did it was really easy to use. Like you said, we took photos of a seedling. We dug a hole, and then we planted the tree. We provided mulch, etc. We took the second photo to show the differentiation between seedling in a bag to tree in the ground.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned then there's an ongoing, repeated monitoring and verification of the project itself. So now that we've planted the tree, what happens and how frequently are the community members monitoring these projects?
Yeah. So, look, we couldn't do a business at this scale without a few recent technological advancements.
So let's expand on those.
So probably the easiest is the smartphone has revolutionized the way we do business.
Yeah, it has.
Here in Kenya, for example, we've got, and I forgot the exact figures, but it's something like 90 to 95% of Kenyans
With penetration in terms of
have
mobile phones.
phones.
Yeah.
So 90% have got phones that they use, multiple phones in fact. They've got about 95% internet access, something close to the 90s as well. Banking is a difficult feature in all remote, so most banking occurs
mobile.
through the mobile phone.
Yeah.
So we've been able to grab and stand on the shoulders of the forefathers who built this technology. We've just downloaded or produced an app that addresses the integrity issue where people are taking photos to confirm that a tree's been planted and that the tree survived. We then overlay that with drone data to verify the planting data. And then we overlay that with satellite data to confirm the drone data, to confirm the handheld data.
And there's interestingly enough, into that, I was speaking with Justin about this, who's your head of technology. You've got really innovative technology insofar as the anti-fraud detection component. So there can be no duplication of the trees or seedlings into your app. And then you're also leveraging a blockchain technology.
Correct.
So not only are you leveraging the mobile phone technology, which is a distribution network effect, and also an input solution, but you're also leveraging blockchain to make it immutable.
Correct.
Can you expand on that?
And actually explain another angle is addressing the question that you asked earlier is how can we do this at scale? You need tools like this, but we can't manage the planters.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So we've got to create a system. So part of the reason of why do most projects fail at scale, and one of the common causes is it relies on volunteers.
Yeah, right.
And people are not passionate about what they are doing.
Yeah.
And here in East Africa, Kenyans are some of the most entrepreneurial, hardworking people who, if you can give them a valid reason why they should be planting trees, so that's the purpose, why am I planting trees? And you can connect the tree to either climate change impact or you can connect it to a business model or a business plan. They are very receptive if they can see the integrity of what you're offering. So we have built a very sophisticated reward system with the technology where it's fun to use, it's in the local languages, and they can see immediate benefit of the business model allows us to, if you collect seeds, we'll pay you. And because you are registered as a seed collector, we will have it's called M-Pesa here, we can pay you within 14 days of seed collection.
Wow.
So I collect seed, I get paid.
Wow.
So the more seeds I collect, the more I get paid.
Great.
We need billions of seedlings.
And it's a really important point because unlike a lot of really large scale reforestation, regeneration projects, they tend to be monoculture. But I just want to unpack that because you're effectively incentivizing an ecosystem from the people collecting the seeds to then the nurseries that are creating the seedlings and then the people that are on the ground planting. Oh, and by the way, you've got these institutes in the middle that are training the trainers that are then distributing that know-how and that capability to those local communities.
Yeah.
Is that fair? Have I missed that?
No, absolutely. And part of it is, and I'll come back to the theme of how we achieve this. From our side, addressing it from the buyer's perspective is we have to have integrity from the seed, the seedling, and the credit.
Yeah.
So we, in a single application, a single platform, have got chain of custody from the seed to the credit.
And you've also got prior informed consent.
Correct.
We noticed that when we were planting the tree, it wouldn't allow us to deposit the photo or upload the photo until we had accepted the prior informed consent, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. And that's, in line with core carbon principles and integrity. So getting back to the how we're going to do this at scale, and why have other projects failed and why do we think our project's going to be successful, is we have put a business model to our clients. Our clients are the landowners.
Yeah.
And the business proposition is a sound one. And as I said, Kenyans are very entrepreneurial. East Africans, because we've got another project in Uganda we'll talk about shortly, is they earn money by collecting seed. And even though sometimes we can pay them immediately, but we say within 14 days, we encourage them to grow seedlings. And once we have delivered, the seedlings have been delivered, and they've passed our QA/QC test, within 14 days, they get paid. So the more seedlings that they deliver, the more they get paid. The third aspect, which we also bring to the table, is we pay people to plant. We don't have enough in our team. East Africans are often are in the field already planting crops and managing livestock, etc. So if we can find a cost-effective way to get the seedlings to them, they're quite happy to plant and get paid for it.
Yeah, so you've got a distributed crowdsourcing model to effectively provide you the leverage necessary to plant these billions of trees.
Correct, and we encourage, it's an agent model where we, here in Kenya, there are a lot of, it's called a boda driver. The boda, if you go to any major intersection, there's a road heading off 20, 30 Ks, 30 farmers one side, 20 farmers the other side, but the boda driver knows most of those farmers either side. So we encourage that boda driver can become an agent and a registered agent, and they can go along and check that the grandmother who I told you earlier about, it's now time for her to check that the tree is alive, and he will go, because he's driving up and down the road every day, to go in and have a cup of tea with the granny and go, have you planted and have you protected your tree? And if not, maybe I can go check it for you, or we can go together.
Fantastic.
So this is mobilizing. Remember, one of the keys of success that the World Bank identified, you've got to get your community on side, you've got to get your women empowered and on side. We just give them the tools which address integrity and give them the financial reward in a system that really works in their culture and in their language. And so we take that all the way through to protecting the tree. And after a few years, we don't need them to go out and take photos of trees, because the drones and the satellites can pick that up.
Because they're no longer, they're big enough to be registered effectively with GIS.
And also, the scale that we are doing is the tools we have today, which people before us didn't have. We've got machine learning. We've got artificial intelligence. We've got blockchain that we capture the records to make sure that they can't be corrupted. So we've got this amazing toolbox that allows us to automate the reports. And that you'd need a cast of thousands to do what we would have done without these tools. But because we've got the tools today, we can offer a cost-effective solution where there's a business model where puts money in, and I particularly love the idea of putting money in the grannies' back pockets, the women's back pockets, etc., where they can then, what they want to do with that money, it's their story. And
but it's providing employment to millions of people in the country.
Correct. So we're looking at 12 years to plant 2 billion trees as a management case. That's about 56,000 people. Majority of them will be in the seed collection, and the nurseries is where the bulk of the headcount comes in. Yes, we're also in the process of going through the final approvals and the construction and ultimately the operation of 3 institutes. The institutes are there to train 1,000 people a year.
Wow.
But they are training the trainers.
Yeah.
They are training the agents who are going to be going and driving down that 10-kilometer road with 50 farmers either side. We also will have mobile vehicles, like mobile classrooms, that will go to the junctions, will go to the towns, will go to the churches, will go to the mosques, they'll go to the schools to take the message on how, if you want to be involved in this business opportunity. Now, you notice I keep using the word business.
Yeah, I love that.
I'm not talking, let's
Charity
save
or
the planet,
philanthropy.
let's kiss and hug the trees, let's, do all of the, that is a byproduct.
Because that's inherently also not scalable, the philanthropic model approach. The business approach, leveraging capital markets and knowledge and know-how and kind of innovation, you came to that earlier, and applying it into the business case has shown proof of record over countless businesses.
Correct.
Over millennia.
Yeah.
So this is fantastic that you're doing that. So Duncan, I mean, thank you for that. You've given us a real high degree of detail with regards to the projects you've got here in Kenya, both blue carbon, that's nice, and the ARR projects. I'm curious to understand also the scale and the impact of the projects that you're developing in neighboring Uganda. We're talking within obviously the context here of East Africa. So give us context around Uganda and the projects that you're working on there.
Yeah, and Uganda and Kenya and East Africa, they've got some of the best carbon sinks on the planet, but they're also suffering from deforestation at an alarming rate.
Yeah.
For the reasons that people cut down trees because they don't value them. They cut trees down because they value the agriculture of the trees being cut down, so they make some money from selling charcoal, which is a good thing in the economic sense. But they're doing it because they want to open up the forest for livestock, cattle, because it's a high value product, or they're doing it for coffee all the way through to the grains and the cereals, etc. So what can we do to try slow down the rate of deforestation or reverse it?
Yeah.
Because the scale is very large.
Yep.
And so we have taken the view that the business case has to be sound on how you value your trees. And the way that the rules work is it has to be new trees, so additional trees. So we went to the Ugandan government and said we are working on up to a 4 billion tree project in Kenya. We would like to bring our institutes, our technology, our best practice across the border from Kenya into Uganda. We've been already working in 10 counties with lots of local communities to prove the business model, and I'm pleased to say that we are very comfortable that we can now take it and scale it into Uganda. So we are working with the government with the potential for up to 5 billion trees. There's also a large
5 billion trees in addition to the 4 in Kenya. I mean, this is audacious.
But from a management case perspective is we've got a really solid business plan around 2 plus 2.
2 plus 2.
Now, we believe it can scale further, but let's just stick with the 2 plus 2 for the moment. So it's a very similar model. Now, again, the reason why we are comfortable that it can work is coming back to that parish development model. Empowering communities, empowering the grandmothers and the mothers and the people who plant, and giving them the tools so that they can be successful in a business case. And so we encourage them to continue livestock, agriculture, be it agroforestry or be it crops or fruit or nuts, etc. But inevitably, your average small-scale farmer sits there exactly the same as an Australian or New Zealand or American farmer and says, what is my best land use dollar per hectare that I can get from my land? If you are a small-scale poor farmer with 1 acre, or if you're big American, with hundreds of thousands of acres, you should be asking the same question. How can I get the best for my family and my community to get the balance right between environmental and economic and social? So we have approached the farmers and said, do you have land that you can put more trees around? Example, the boundaries. The answer is yes. Do you have you got space to plant more fruit trees and beneficial trees? And beneficial could be anything from trees with lots of flowers where they can put beehives
Yeah,
in
pollination.
there,
Yep.
to culturally important trees,
Yep.
big shady trees, etc. So we're addressing the cultural aspect.
Yeah, that's great.
And they want to plant trees around their homestead. So
Mm-hmm.
we and a lot of them are big trees, which are great carbon sequestration tools in their own right. And then some of the farms say, well, some of our area is not viable for livestock, was not good for crops. So yes, that area over there or that area over there. So we can break each single farm, and they may only have 4 acres. 1 acre can go towards carbon, and the other 3 can go towards, commercial agriculture and all the rest of it. They are getting an additional revenue stream from an area that they would not have got a revenue stream from.
I really like that model, because effectively what you've just espoused is you're turning carbon into a cash crop.
Correct. But we're also getting the balance right between the conservation value, the carbon sequestration value,
Yep.
the economic value,
And the cultural.
and cultural value,
Yep.
and not one size fits all. So for example, here in Kenya, there are 47 counties, there are 52 or 52 tribal groups. Each tribe, each culture has their unique way of doing stuff.
Yep.
So we find what they are good at, and we just try to find a way to make them better at it. So we don't bring a one size fits all and a cookie cutter approach and it's our way or the highway. But what we do is we give them training, we upskill them, we give them the tools, we give them the finance to help them make a business as a complementary revenue stream on top of what they're already doing. And that is why we believe that we can scale it. I'm not the audience, it's what our clients are saying. And our clients are saying they want in for many reasons, and they want to work with us because they see a business model. So it's an economic decision. They want to work with us environmentally because they see the impacts of climate change on a daily or weekly or monthly basis. So we're sitting over here, for example, here in the Mara, the rain would fall regularly, and the old people would say literally the 15th of October, the rain would come from that direction and it would be steady rain and it'll be here for 4 months. Now you talk to the old people and they go, we don't know when the rain's going to come. We don't know how long the season's going to be. When it does rain, it can be very intense.
Flooding.
Flooding.
Yep.
And all the old patterns that allowed us to predict either the way we moved our cattle, because the Mara people
And
very
the
pastoralists,
yeah.
or those who still plant crops, and they will always have planted crops. When we can't predict it. And so it's that lack of predictability is impacting the decision making, is impacting the hip pocket, because the animals in some cases extreme are dying, the crops are failing. And unlike the developed world, who can sit comfortably when it gets hot, they just turn the air conditioner up, or if they get hungry, they just go down to the local shop. These people live hand to mouth. So the impact of climate change is very real. So yes, they want to make some money, and that's a good thing.
Great thing.
Yes, they are worried about the environment because they are living firsthand as the consequence of climate change.
Yep.
And just to be very clear, there's a difference between weather and climate change, and a lot of people confuse weather and climate change. I'm talking climate change here, the long-term trends of what is happening. And a lot of people also intergeneration. If I may just spend a little bit talking about an aspect of farming which you don't hear enough of is farmers are all like any business, but the small farmers are intergenerational. Grandparents, parents, they pass the big farm down to the family, they divide the family up, the family farm becomes smaller and smaller. There's an economic issue going on. The farms are not viable because of the small scale of them. And a lot of farmers are under a lot of stress. They've taken out debt, they can't service the debt because the farm is too small. So they're trying to find ways to find other income streams.
That's really important.
That can address intergenerational issues. And it's this intergenerational aspect that we also listen to, because they are telling us we want to find additional revenue streams. And so, for example, also cultural things. So here in Kenya, the men own the land. The land passes through the male side. So if the mother or the daughter or the grandmother wants to plant, she has to get the consent, literally, from the landowner, which is in her case her husband or a father or a grandfather, etc. So there's a whole lot of issues that we unpack culturally, socially, and environmentally. But let's get back to, that's a great story, but the buyer of the credit who's sitting at the back end of that side wants to see you've got a chain of custody, you've addressed the integrity issues throughout that whole process,
Yep.
you've empowered the community, the co-benefits that come with it, but unless you can get the entire process right, you will have an inferior product at the back end of,
Yes.
the process.
Yep.
So that's a little bit of background there.
Fantastic. So thank you for that. I mean, you touch on so many important topics. I just want to kind of come back now and provide this kind of top-down macro view, because you've spoken about the scale. Can you come back to this word? Scale of projects here in Kenya. You've just given us the context around the scale of projects you have in Uganda. Earlier in our conversation, you mentioned the projects that you have in New Zealand and in Australia. I'd like to go around the world effectively here, just to double click on each one of those projects to provide context. And let's keep it brief around summary for those projects. Let's begin with Australia. You mentioned you're working in the Gulf of Carpentaria up in the northern part of Australia with Blue Carbon Project. Give us a high-level view of that Blue Carbon Project, its impact and the size there.
Yeah. So Australia's regulations under the Emission Reduction Fund allow certain methodologies, which are actually very prescriptive, unlike VERA, which allows more of the coastline to come into play. So obviously we have to address the rules. And so we've got a 2,500 hectare emission reduction fund compliant project there.
Okay, and that's going to generate ACCUs, Australian Carbon Credit Units?
Yeah, just over 1.5 million ACCUs over a 25-year period.
Okay. And that's 2,500 hectares.
2,500 hectares.
Yep. Okay.
But that for us is the stepping stone. The Australian government has also is open for new methodologies to come in.
Yep.
And so we will be working with the Australian government to introduce an equivalent of the VERA wet blue carbon method, which allows more of the coastline to come into play with that methodology.
Okay. And what's the sort of scope in terms of size of the area that
so
you've
we've been
earmarked?
working very hard with the Indigenous, with the Aboriginal communities, and we've got already a great opportunity there, approximately 400 odd kilometres of coastline.
Wow, that's enormous.
That is in play. Obviously, the people forget, they always talk about sea rise. When last did you hear somebody talk about sea drop? So that coastline can create these little micro carbon bombs because you have these natural dieback events because the sea level drops.
Yeah.
Everybody says sea level rise. Well, but anyway, the point is you've got an Aboriginal community there who own the mangroves, who are open to get economic benefit, from that area. There are degraded areas, which we're in the business of ecosystem restoration. But the point I was making is not all ecosystem degradation is man-made. There's actually some natural
event.
Natural events. But we can help reverse these carbon bombs, to use that term. But there's a real opportunity there to generate another 19 to 20 million carbon credits.
Wow.
In blue carbon with the correct methodology. So we are a long-term player. That methodology right now isn't accepted in Australia.
Under the ERF?
The ERF method is, but the governments are saying, come to us with proven methodologies. And so we are using this project to do the ERF method and the VERA method. And we're bringing the authorities and the community along on the journey and saying, look, we're using the same tools, the same people, the same methodology in the same area. Now, let us see if we can extend this across Northern Australia. And it's not just applicable to Northern Australia, it's across the equator where this methodology is in play. So that's one of the projects.
So a pilot project in Australia generating ACCUs, potential for scale of tens of millions of carbon credits, blue carbon credits in Northern Australia, and potentially expandable across other coastal ecosystems across the equatorial belt.
Yeah. And we were the first company to put a large-scale project in, and it's tough. Australia's the regulatory environment with the multiple levels of tape that the Australians are good at. But we're working through that one step at a time. But we also got a project in New Zealand.
Yeah, so
I'll talk
let's
about
unpack. Yeah, please unpack it around New Zealand, because that's an interesting project. You mentioned earlier that you've had that now approaching registration, and you're hoping to have credits issuing.
Correct.
In the near future. Can you expand on the types of projects and the geography?
Yeah.
Because I believe you mentioned earlier you have a North and South Island project.
Correct. So we're on 2 islands. Actually, New Zealand's got quite a few islands, but I'll just say the
2 main.
The 2 islands. We've got a minimum 10,000 hectare threshold.
Okay.
And it doesn't mean a single landowner 10,000. It just means we couple various projects together to give it the economies of scale that justifies us, doing the work.
Yep.
And so we are using various 3 Circuit Carbona / Vera methodologies.
Okay.
They range from agricultural, improvement of agriculture. They involve afforestation, the AR method. We've also got a teal project. We've got a peatland restoration project as well. All of them are will be producing high quality carbon credits with really good integrity underpinning it, with that chain of custody. And when we talk to our buyers...
And also native species, correct?
Absolutely. And actually, that's been an interesting point. A lot of the policy behind the carbon markets, the governments all had...
NZ. Okay.
They all had good intentions. Let us couple our country to the market, or let's develop rules around our own market. But in this case, the consequence of their policy was to go plant lots of pines and exotics.
Some monoculture.
A monoculture view. Yeah. And it's compliant with the rules. So yes, hooray. But there are
that's predominantly the type of scope for NZUs, the credits that are resulting from these monoculture type of plantations.
Correct. Now, but a lot of farmers are actually uncomfortable. A lot of Maoris are uncomfortable with planting exotics on their landscape, and would rather be rewarded for planting native and indigenous trees. And it comes to that, the intergenerational issue about being stewards of the land.
Yeah.
But stewards of the land don't put money on the table for a business model. You've got to give them a viable business case that says, I can protect this and I will restore this, particularly if I can plant natives to the way it was, but where's the business case for it?
Yeah.
So we work with the local communities and with the local farmers to build a sound business case where they can, just like here in Kenya, look at what's in it for them, and we get the balance right between meeting the social, environmental and economic cases. That's why we can do things at scale within the rules of the methodologies. And yes, we do bring a lot of co-benefits along on the journey, but we first and foremost focus on the business case.
Great. So if I can just summarize, you have incredibly large-scale projects in Kenya and Uganda. Both in Kenya and Uganda, you're looking on the ARR side.
Correct.
To plant, business case, I believe you said, and I'm going to try to put words in your mouth here, 2 billion trees minimum in each one of those countries. So that's 2 projects, ARR. One Kenya, one Uganda, 2 billion, 2 billion. You mentioned you have blue carbon projects in Kenya. I believe you mentioned 20,000 hectares in Kenya. What's the context in terms of scale, size in Uganda? I know it's still sort of...
So credits, if that's, which I understand is the question.
Yeah.
We're looking at about 203 million carbon credits over 25 years here in Kenya.
Wow.
And a little more, about 213 million credits in Uganda.
Wow.
And so there's a pipeline of over 400 million carbon credits.
Can I just pause there? 400 million high quality nature-based removal credits.
Correct.
And can I double click again? The nature of, and it's a double entendre, and excuse the pun here, but the nature of reforestation and also blue carbon projects is that they start to yield supply. Certainly after a number of years of the planting has occurred. I think peak is sort of around year 8 and 9 to 10, 11, 12. So we're sitting here in 2024, you're going to start yielding high quality stream of supply in the 2030s.
Correct. And so we wouldn't be as confident of our business case if we didn't really understand the market.
Yeah.
And so it's a supply and demand issue. So we are the supplier, but we've looked very carefully at the market globally. And you know more, Renee, with your background about the buyers and the sellers and the demand issues. But our opinion is that we are seeing a shortfall in around 2030 for large volume, high integrity removals credits, AR methodology with strong permanency issues, so core carbon principles, underpinning. So we will be a reliable supplier of a variety of different, credits, all underpinned with the same technology from, as I said, the satellites down to the blockchain and everything in between, addressing the integrity issue, which is often lacking in projects. And the 2030, there's also another trend which isn't often spoken about within the market, because we all represent different parts of the market.
Sure.
Is when we were looking at the opportunity to get involved in large-scale projects, we actually, among other things, run a family office. I was looking at investing in other carbon project developers and saw that pretty much all the majors who had material projects already were captive to a large oil gas company, a large mining company, a large heavy industry. So these organizations have already thought ahead and have created what is effectively a hedging strategy by putting their foot on these carbon project developers. Some are brand names, some you've never heard of. And that is because they are already seeing the gap between the supply and the demand. So as we are seeing, the renewable energy style certificates beginning to lose by volume, attractiveness in the market.
We expect renewables to effectively exit the voluntary market in 2026, 27. Just by virtue of the project cycle. They're coming to the end of their life cycle.
Correct. And then the Red Plus, we're seeing that as well with the AR, the avoidance versus the removals issue. We are in the removal space, versus the avoidance. And the thing I always like about the removal space is it's actually addressing the root cause. It's taking carbon out the atmosphere. Avoidance is just, I'm not building a coal-fired power station, I'm building a solar farm, but it still produces carbon. It just produces less than that. And so I'll go back to the market. So we are doing these projects because we are comfortable with our forward-looking view. Our house view is that there's going to be a gap come 2030 for parties who can provide a reliable supply of credits, high integrity credits in the removal space with lots of co-benefits that address core carbon principles at their heart, that also address pricing. Because we can offer economies of scale, we can offer affordable credits. So you've got a supplier going, I can meet your needs are large, I can do it at a good price, and we know that you're going to struggle by 2030, to find large volumes of reliable supply. So that is
can I just pause you there, because those conversations, they're real. My team and I are having conversations right now with very large corporate buyers, but large institutionals and large industrials who recognize that in the 2030s, that critical decade, they're effectively short high quality carbon credits, especially on the removals quotient. And they're looking for reliable supply and reliable counterparties that they can actually take the credit risk of. And that's something that you provide, because you said something earlier that I found to be quite interesting, which is you kept mentioning investment grade. What you've just talked about from seed to credit, you've talked about integrity, technology stack, vertical integration, distribution model, all of these well thought out processes, and also the geographic diversification. Your projects in Kenya, in Uganda, you've got ARR, blue carbon in each, so that's 4 projects. Blue carbon in Australia, teal and ARR in New Zealand. So that's 7 projects that you've got coming out, and so you've got a distribution of nature-based removal credits. So you actually de-risked it from an investment perspective, hence the investment grade component. So for the large off-takers, that's a really great proposition, effectively, for them to face such an entity with such a strong balance sheet as yourselves.
Correct, and we've got 2 other tools in our toolbox that help address the investment grade aspect. One of them is what market are we in. So we're in the voluntary market, and right now we're going through the application process to be Article 6.2 compliant. 2 of our host countries, one's just signed a bilateral agreement that's relevant to us. And so you've got letters, LOAs and CAs in the process of being structured right now, so we can go into the compliance market. Now, you know that market better than I.
And it's an emerging market, and obviously we're sitting here towards the tail end of 2024 with COP going on in Baku, where a lot of this is being finalized around Article 6.4, but the Article 6.2 pathways that you mentioned are predicated essentially on these bilateral agreements between host countries and buyer countries. I live in one of those, being Singapore. Kenya, Uganda, and other neighboring countries are starting to structure bilateral agreements with countries like Singapore and Switzerland and Sweden, and emerging, stay tuned for other countries that are currently in that pipeline. I don't want to steal any of the thunder that are coming out from Baku, but that creates now opportunity for streams of that supply to go into markets like, for example, Japan, where Kenya and Japan have a bilateral agreement, and many, many more to come. So that's exciting. So now you just added another component. So now back to you said
two. But
so
if I may, just on the
compliance
voluntary, we look at it, the disclosed market value is about 3 billion, but a lot of it is off the books, and so it's actually the market's a bit bigger. It's a 3 billion size market. Sounds impressive until you see that the Americans spent 11 billion on Halloween on one day. You go, well, actually, it's not that impressive. The compliance market's more impressive with an $860 billion market size.
In the ETS,
And that's where the majority of our credits are going into the compliance market. So that market is also short large volumes of high value, high integrity credits with lots of co-benefits,
I couldn't agree more.
etc.
In fact, I had a really interesting conversation with Mark Lewis from Mandarin Capital a while back. And he talked about that looking to his crystal ball, the European emissions trading system, which is the biggest market, obviously, in terms of carbon, being an allowance-based system at some point in time, effectively caps those emissions. And there has to be a release valve, effectively, with removals. We're seeing a number of policy measures emerge in the European Union for that. I agree wholeheartedly with you that becomes a marketplace, in addition to the Article 6.2 markets that we mentioned.
Agree.
Okay,
so the other tool that we have in our toolbox, if you've got a minute, I can explain that. And probably with context, it's insurance.
Yeah, right.
Now, I founded another business that it was the first of its type. Now today it's a $500-600 million business. It's dealing with all the Fortune 500 style or ASX 200 because it's an Australian company, dealing with a very difficult environmental problem. But we were the first of its type.
And that's hazardous waste.
You were cleaning up the environment, difficult to manage. But the buyers, the users of our service are the same users or buyers of carbon credits. So why am I telling you the story? One, when we open up our gate, they're reluctant to write big checks and underpin long-term contracts because they were risk adverse.
Yeah.
So it was easier to keep the waste on their site than to let it go to a third party. Now, we had to put about $500 million worth of insurance wrap to basically take the risk off the table to give the buyer confidence to sign the contract and write the check. And then the problem got solved. But without that risk mitigation step, the volumes were not moving. There's a direct analogy with what I've just told you there in the carbon market. A lot of the buyers want to get involved, but they are reluctant to because they are worried about the greenwashing, they're worried about the risk side. They are not sitting there writing the big checks. So you've got to help make it an investment grade proposition, or have removed the risks to have made it an investment attractive proposition. And so we are working with
wow, that was a big splash. I think that was a croc in the background.
We are working with a multilateral development bank to look at jurisdictional risk insurance. We are working with one of the largest private sector brokers in this space, and they are, behind them are the underwriters of some of the world's largest insurers, who, by the way, have some of the world's largest environmental liability issues on their balance sheets. So we are helping them, but we are helping them to write the check for the carbon credits by removing the risk, by using tools like insurance. And we've got 5 classes of insurance in there. 4 of them are for the buyer. 1 of them's for us. Now you go, well, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. You, the developer, it should be the other way around. But it is all geared to make it easy for the buyer to go, I like this risk profile, I like the price, I like the reliability of supply. I like the quality.
I like removals.
I like removals. Where do I sign?
Yeah.
And we're already seeing that. So hopefully that's helpful.
That's very helpful, Duncan. Thank you so much. It's been a privilege to get to spend time with you and your team, to meet with the communities, to see the toolbox, the literal toolbox. You have a big yellow pelican case just up here with the word Verity, and when you unpack it, there's iPads and all sorts of technology components there that actually helped not only track, but all of the DMRV, the digital monitoring, reporting, verification tools. So it's been fantastic to actually see it implemented on the ground, and then more from a personal perspective, actually seeing the impact on the ground. Yesterday we met with some of the communities, and particularly talking about women's empowerment. With the community leader Jane, with whom we met yesterday, it was transformative. We had the privilege of sitting down, interviewing her yesterday, seeing her family, and seeing just the joy in their faces from the opportunity that's begat from the investment in those communities, the empowerment of those communities to rewild their ecosystems. So it's been fantastic. I thank you and your team for your hospitality. It's been fantastic, and I wish you nothing but the best. It's going to be really exciting to see the development. My team is here to support you and your team to commercialize these credits, and I just want to say thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Take care.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cheers.